Okay. All right, I only got a few minutes here. Turn with me to 1 Samuel 22, verse 2. 1 Samuel 22, verse 2. Okay, so this is to whoever it fits. It's not to everybody. I want to talk to potential partners in my ministry. Potential partners in my ministry. Let me just talk to you for a minute and we'll get to this scripture here. I got a few minutes here at the house alone, so I'm trying to beat my... I don't like this lighting in the back. Okay. I want to talk to you for a few minutes. So I'm the founder of Soldiers of Christ Rally Point, and I want to focus on the word rally, 2 words, rally point. This part of the vision that I had was, a handful of people in the area that had a desire to do something for God. That had a deep burning desire to do something for the Lord. Preach, witness, follow Him, sacrifice, reach souls, help the down and out, and just whatever the cost is, as long as it's legal and ethical and moral. And for the Lord, you'd be willing to do it. And, and of course, my ministry is not traditional. And so you would have to have a desire to be part of a non-traditional ministry and probably already burned out with the traditional. And that's what I want to talk to you about. If you're, looking for buildings, you're going to be disappointed. Let me tell you a little bit about buildings. Let me tell you a little bit about buildings. First of all, the reason why I'm not trying to get a building. I can try to get a building. Anybody can go rent a building. If you raise the money or get the money, you can go sign a lease. If you've got some good credit, and I'm in the 800s, I've got great credit. I can go get a building. I've done it. I've leased buildings, tried buying buildings, went through the process. When I was in an organization, the organization ended up taking it over. We'll get into that in a minute. But anybody can get a building. It's buildings are plaster, electrical wire, flooring, tile, and carpet, stuff like that. Anybody can do that. The problem is that you end up becoming a slave to the building. You have to raise money to pay the rent, the insurance. You got to have like $1 million insurance in case somebody breaks their neck. You have to have it. You have to have. You got to pay taxes on it. You got to keep up with the upkeep on it. Even if you're renting or leasing, a lot of those times you're responsible even for the roof, depending on what the contract says. So buildings are not everything they're cracked up to be. And if you want to go be a part of a building, you're going to pay for it. You're going to be expected to put a wad of money in that basket every month, every week, to help pay for that. It's a pay to play system. A pay to play system is what it is. I know because I've been in it. The minute you stop paying or slow down paying, the leadership's attitude changes towards you, because now they have to carry the burden even more so. You know, they're already carrying the burden, but now they have to carry the burden even more so because you quit giving as much. Okay? It's pay to play when it comes to them buildings. I don't have a building. I refuse to be a part of that system. So all of you that's looking for a building, go somewhere else. Okay? I'm not your man. Okay? Go somewhere else. Take your wallet with you. You're going to need it. Okay? You know, so like I said, I've been a part of the building. Let me tell you something. I've been to Bible college. I've been a part of an organization for 16 years. I was part of an organization. That organization corrupted themselves. They corrupted themselves. That organization has such a bad reputation right now that I don't even want to mention their name. Because when I left in 1990, it's either 4 or 6. I always get that year mixed up. I have to go back and look because I have a copy of my resignation letter. They didn't kick me out. I resigned. Either 94 or 96. They were starting to get bad then. Well, that's 94, 2004, 24. That's like 22 years ago. I've been out 22 years. 22 years now I've been out. Okay, so I was in an organization, and it's all about real estate. They use, a lot of these churches, not all of them, everybody has their own little scam going on. Not everybody, but a lot of them do. The one I was in, as they began to corrupt themselves and found out that they had a machine at their fingertips, they realized that if they went, soul winning, and they extracted tithe, it was a machine. More soul winning, more tithe, more buildings. More buildings, more seats, more people to sit in the seats, more tithe, more soul winners. More soul winners who went out and got more people who brought in more tithe, which means, hey, we can buy more real estate, build more buildings, have more seats, more people in the seats, even more soul winners. And it became a big snowball effect to where now this organization I was in, they're international, and they've got paid for buildings all over the world. Paid for, nice buildings, and friends of mine that I look on their website and I see friends of mine that I was friends with when I was young in nice buildings, but they're part of a controlling, scamming organization that preaches tithe or go to hell. Tithe or go to hell. That's the truth. They preach tithe or go to hell. They preach all Christians must pay tithe. You either do it, if you don't, you're not a Christian. They teach that. They teach that because it's expected by the mother church or the organization, the headquarters. It's expected if you hold a license to do that. I know because when I was a young man, before I really knew, I had my eyes on Jesus. I keep looking at the screen. I should be looking at the camera. I had my eyes on Jesus, and I slowly began to see what was going on. It slowly peels back. So, I've been a part of the building program scamming church game, and and you may say, well, I'm not like that. Well, everybody's on a different scale. There's local pastors that own real estate. And they've got rentals all over the county. Even if it's 4, 5, 6 rentals. But the church members don't know that. The church members don't know that their pastor has real estate that they're renting out. And that real estate's paid for. We won't talk about how it got paid for. A lot of times it's the church members in the local church that was giving. And the church that they go to, their pastor, they don't tell them what their money goes toward. They can't go look at a ledger every month and see where the money's going to. Go to your pastor and go ask him, hey, I want to see a ledger. I want to see an accounting of the finances in this church that I've been given to for the last 15 years. See what happens. Let me look at my face. See what happens. Pastor, I want to see. I notice that you don't disclose where the finances of the church go to. So, I've been given for about 15 years. I want to see a ledger for the last 5 years where all the money has been going to in the church, how it's being used. And Pastor, you owe a stewardship. You owe it to the people. You owe it to the people. Yeah, I'm free. You can't control me. I'm not owned by anybody, which is why God has me where I'm at. Soldiers of Christ rally point. We'll get to that in a minute. See, I know what's going on out there. Y'all may look at me like, oh, there's soldiers of Christ rally point. Poor him. He don't got no. I don't want no building. I don't want. It's on purpose. It's on purpose. I don't want no building. I'm free. I'm free. I don't want no building. You people, a lot of you pastors in Bell County and all over the United States that have buildings, you're housing dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. They come, they waddle themselves in, they sit down, they sit and listen. And then they go home. And you preach about and teach about, it's time to do this. It's about time we rise up. And it's about time we repent. And it's about time. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. No, there's no true revival that ever, like real revival, not whew, and somebody falls out. That's trash. Okay? Let's get that straight. That's trash. All right. Okay. Let's get back on track here. I've been a part of the building program. Okay, so all of these buildings around here, for the most part. Now, there's a good pastor that's right with God, sprinkled around here a little, there a little. But for the most part, you're paying for that building, church member. You're paying for it. And a lot of you are just fine with giving your money and never getting an accounting of where that money. You don't know who you're supporting. You don't know who you're supporting. You could be supporting the whole extended family. Tell them to go get a job. Tell them to go get a job. You work, they can work. A lot of these ministers, I worked the entire time that I've been in the ministry. The entire time. And I'm not, don't even worry about the time I've been in Texas. I extend back a long ways. Yeah, you don't even know. Okay. So the finances that goes into these church building projects, guess what? Becomes real estate and money in the pockets of these pastors later on when they decide to shut it down and sell out. When they decide to shut it down and sell out, or to give it to the next generation or the person waiting in the wings to take it over, they inherit a fortune. Why? Real estate is worth gold. More than gold. More than gold. That real estate that was $300,000, $200,000, $100,000, $50,000 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever, is worth double, triple, quadruple 30 years down the road, 20 years down the road, sometimes even 15 years down the road. And then they give your hard-earned money, they give it to boo-boo. Oh, they give it to boo-boo, who never worked on a job in their life. Give it to them. Slide it right on over. Right into their name. Yeah, so you guys are a bunch of suckers, all right? You're a bunch of suckers supporting these building programs in these church organizations. I bet I was one. I was one. That's how I can say that. That's how I can say that. And unless you go into it and every detail is disclosed, and you know exactly what you're getting into from beginning to end, and you sign off on it, and you're okay with it, then you're not. Because you're going into business. You're going into a business contract, so to speak. But a lot of times these pastors are already way ahead of the game. And here comes Susie and Johnny. They don't know what's going on, but they give. They get their income tax, and they think they got to give, so they give half of it. They get a little bit of money here, and they give and they give and they give. They don't even know that they're supporting extended family. They don't even know that they're supporting a building project that's real estate that's in somebody's name, that person's gonna actually, it's gonna be in their bank account one day or part of their portfolio. It's already a part of their portfolio. I know because I was a part of it. I could take you to, well, you know what? That's enough of that. I know what I'm talking about. And you do some real estate. I mean, you do some research on organizations along these lines, and you'll find out that's how these organizations end up with these big, beautiful churches. That's how they do it. They extract money. They teach tithe, which is not a New Testament. Tithe is not a New Testament command. I would debate anybody. Take me up on it. Let's do a debate. Tithe is not a New Testament demand, command, or anything like that. It's not practiced in the New Testament. And trust me, I've already been through. You can take them back. Well, Abraham paid tithe before the law. Yeah, out of the spoils of war, one time. Just one time, out of the spoils of war. And he paid it to Melchizedek. You can't use that as a proof that the New Testament church has to pay tithe out of their earnings. It doesn't fit. That's apples and oranges. Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that alone. But so yeah, I've been a part of it. I know what I'm talking about. Whenever I joined the military, I met up with the organization that I keep referring to. All right, that I have a love-hate relationship with. Love-hate relationship with. All right. And so I was when I was in the military, I went to Bible college at night. Went to Bible school at night. Worked all day, and I went to Bible school at night, and they had very strict requirements. I was very busy. So when I got out, I gave up my career in the military to get out of the military and go to Bible school. That was a big decision, but I decided to do it. I gave up everything I had to do that, which as a young man, coming from where I came from, the hills of Ohio, a hillbilly that knew nothing. I couldn't even write a check or keep a checkbook. So I joined, I went to Bible school, and when I was in Bible school, the founder of the organization came to me and me and my wife and said, I want you to pray about going back to Hawaii, because that's where I was stationed at Schofield Barracks. I want you to pray about going. Now this doesn't happen. They have to really see something in you for this to happen. So I'm in the middle of going to Bible college to finish my degree, which at that time I didn't realize it, but it was not transferable. It was in-house. It was only good for that organization. Now at the time, like I said, I was only 19 years old. Well, no, let's see. I got about 22 years old at that time. I didn't understand. I just had my eyes on Jesus. Okay, I wasn't looking at the worldly aspect of things, So I was still working on my bachelor's degree that was in-house for the organization, and pray about going back to Hawaii to be an assistant to the pastor. Now that was a full-time work. That was a big work over there in Hawaii. Now they've got a big, paid for, beautiful, all the real estate's paid for, big home, big church, and everything. And, and I went and prayed, and I came back and I said, I prayed. I don't believe God wants me to do that. And he said, what? He said, you realize that the Bible school students here would give their right arm for the organization to pay their way to go back to go to Hawaii to be a part of that work back there? That meant nothing to me. I'm not looking at anybody else. I'm not looking at anybody else. Give their right arm. They can give their right arm. I'm not okay. Well, anyhow, I mean, there's so much, but the thing is that I didn't realize it. But what they needed was to take me out of Bible, because I had a work ethic. To take me out of Bible school and send me to Hawaii, part of the requirements is I have to have a job. They needed more income in that work over there. And that was a big part of why that was happening. I was a man of my word. I've been working since I was a young teenager. And then when I left Hawaii, they needed me to go to Georgia. So I was there for about a year, and then all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we have a place for not a full-time pastor because, but to be not to be an assistant to the pastor, but we have a place for you to be the pastor. The pastor. We got to work over there in Georgia, and we need a pastor." And I took that. And so they flew me and my wife all the way to Georgia to be the pastor. And so all of that looking back, and I'm leaving out so much, but what I guess I'm giving too many details here. I went from there to Galena Park, Texas, to Mesa, Arizona, to a couple churches in Mesa, Arizona, and then I helped in churches when I rejoined the military. I helped in churches. I did my best to help in churches, and so I've been around, and everywhere I went, there was a couple things going on. Either I was being used as part of a building project, or I was being used to support a building, help pay the taxes, help pay the rent, help pay the lease, help pay the insurance, and all of that stuff. And the maintenance, clean the church. I've cleaned bathrooms. Many times. I've cleaned bathrooms. It's always the building. But you know what? You go look in the New Testament, it wasn't about the building. It was not about the building. And a lot of you are about the building. You won't leave the building, but you teach in the building. You teach the old dinosaurs. Oh, look over here what Samson did and Samuel did. They rose up and they fought and they did this and that and the other. Here's what they do. Here's what the dinosaurs do. Nothing ever happens. It's just y'all just feeding off of each other. In the building. Feeding off of each other. In the building. Singing songs to each other. In the building. There's a world dying and going to hell. There's prostitutes out there that are suffering, that need your love. There's hardened hearts out there that haven't heard the gospel in a strong, powerful way or a loving way, whatever's needed at the time. But you're in the building. You got a building that you're serving. You're a slave to. Gotta serve the building. God is not bound. God is not in the building. I'm sorry to tell you. We are the temples, and he's in this temple. When I show up, God shows up. Where I go, God goes. And a lot of you believe the lie that God is living in your building. Put phooey on that. God is not living in your building. It's a lie. And you've believed it. As soon as the people of God leave your building, God left it. God's gone. So the building project, I was a part of it for 16 years and didn't know it. I didn't realize it. And then one day when I was in Mesa, Arizona, in about 94, 96, I couldn't pay my own bills. I could not pay my own bills. I had an eviction notice on my little one-bedroom apartment. I had no insurance on my car, no food in the house. My shoes falling off my feet, and on and on and on. And after all those years, from 94, 96 back to 80, January of 82. How many years is that? Oh, my wife's home. My wife is home.